processes and policies, and we agree that. But when the policies and processes cannot allude to certain suggestions or solutions, we need to look into the opinions. Here I am saying that we do need 15,732 people. Is that simply because of the split of 15 and 85 percentage? For some time we are struggling that split. It's not an easy thing to manage. So what I'm saying that the suggestion has to come from the organization that how are we going to look into that if that is a very difficult process. Secondly, on the second presentation on municipal services, department needs to be commended because all our school visits, this has been a problem that the decentralization of municipal services has been long overdue. And I think truly the department has taken a very good step. But I just want to check a few clarities from Mr. Mchida. One, there is 197 million has been used from 2020-2021 budget. What is the implication of that? Secondly, in terms of the 289 schools, where the second tranche was not paid, is it simply because of the annual financial statement was not submitted? Because all the time this lack of connection of the power cut becomes a very serious issue in all the schools, all the districts we visited. So we want to say absolutely it is the responsibility of the school leadership to make sure that this is being done. And that's why we asked that question. Thank you.
Honorable Mkhakha. Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. No, let's acknowledge the presentation. My understanding is that we are not dealing with the budget vote now.
Of course.
We are not dealing with the budget vote now. And we'll be having a plethora of questions if we're dealing with the budget votes. So
no, we're not going to get into that.
Yeah. No, Chair, my worry around this issue of non-teaching staff, the document is still a proposal. And during this COVID era, non-teaching staff is the one that is going to play a critical role in terms of monitoring movement of learners in each school. And that's my worry that it's still a proposal. And I'm not sure how long will it take to be approved as a policy or regulation. Maybe they're going to talk to that. Well, it talks to the safety of learners in school, particularly during this period. There's something about salary and stipend in relation to this non-teaching staff. And I thought they are employing the non-teaching staff permanently for schools. And if they are employing permanent staff for schools, why stipend? Can they clarify this question of salary vis-a-vis stipend in relation to the non-teaching staff? So that if we're dealing with contract workers, we're aware that we're dealing with contract workers here, not necessarily a permanent appointment of non-teaching staff. I'm worried about what was I wouldn't capture correctly. The last one, Chair. Are you not considering as part of DSM the whole notion of hygiene? In other words, there are items that fall under hygiene in schools. Are you not considering to include those items under LTSM for learners? Maybe that question might be still premature for me to ask it. Let me stop there, Chair. I'm handicapped by those three items that were not presented. Thanks, sir.
Okay. All right. For me, I've got the following questions. On the HRD, I want to preface this question by saying, in our last meetings that we've been having with the department around the issue of the non-support staff, we're informed that you had planned and you have prepared your own and you have sent it to DPSA. And the DPSA therefore was going to give you a note in terms of the support staff. At that stage, we're talking about special schools. I want to check whether this plan that we're talking about, is it exclusive of special schools? And if the answer is yes, what is then the norm for special schools for non-teaching staff? All right. The second question relates to what has been presented by Mr. Mchida. We have indicated the payments that were effected as accruals for tranches to schools. The first question it says, why did the department fail to transfer tranches to schools, especially the no-fee paying school, that is quintals 1 to 3? I understand the one that was schools failed to submit their annual audited financial statements. But what was the reason that they complied? Why were they not given what was due to them? Second question, right to this one. To me, you seem to be condoning non-submission of annual audited financial statements by schools. Because I know schools, even the government is given from up to 30th of June to submit. But you are indicating that those who that failed to do that, you later on transferred their monies. Where is the characteristic approach in that arrangement of yours? Did those principal and SGPs account for failure to submit their annual audited financial statements? What was the recourse around that? The fourth question relates to learner support material. I just want to understand from the department, what is the rationale for centralizing learner support material? I know at one stage you did indicate schools that would be ready. Why was it first of all, viewed as an option? The last question relates to the monitoring mechanism for those personnel or those through the three grants that have been presented. My area of interest is, what is the monitoring mechanism, therefore, of those employees? Because if you talk about EPWP workers as well roads, one of them that kukwatambala lapha ithini control measure ke lapha yokumonitorisha abantu. Also ingayenziwayo yoba screener ngoba usebenza mose ezikoleni phakathi kwabantwana. Abanye ngelishwa mhlambi banengxaki yoba abakwazi usebenza abantu abancinci ngenxa yemikhuba ababinayo. Ingaba ikhona imechanism yokuscreena bewasebenza phakathi kwabantwana bethu ezikoleni or not? Enkosi.
Thank you, Chair. I think it's quite pretty straightforward, Chair, questions. I will start with Mr. Chigo to take on the HR-related matters, and then Mr. Kida on transfers and questions that relate to transfers. Mr. Chigo will deal with all the issues that have to do with budget splits and implications for that, the management of the percentage between, the various dimensions, personnel versus non-personnel, teaching versus non-teaching staff. Mr. Chibo will deal with all of that. Then Mr. Kida will deal with the rest of the transfers to schools and why certain decisions were taken, especially strategic policy decisions that we do. Mr. Chibo?
Thanks, DDG. In terms of the split 85-15, we are slowly closing that gap because the gap has been wide for some time. Now that we are standing at that now that we are standing at 89.6 as to 10.4, we are slowly closing that gap. We are anticipating that as we move forward in the next financial year, we'll be getting some funds from that side of educators to the non-teaching staff, so that we can beef up our non-teaching staff in schools. It's not an easy task to do because most of that money is already committed with the educators that we're already having in the system. But here we are working with the budget section in terms of making sure that we check whenever we have available funds, we take from that and make sure that we beef up in the teaching staff. In terms of the question raised by Honorable Mkhaha around salaries versus stipend, permanently employed non-teaching staff at schools, they are paid salaries. The stipend is paid on from the grant that we are getting from Public Works. Because that one is a grant, and then we are only paying stipend from that because we cannot pay the salary from that because the money that is coming from there is minimal, and even the directive from Public Works is that you must pay these stipends for a period of a year or up to 2 years. So for those that are paid by under the department from budget of the department, they are paid salaries on permanently basis. Then this stipend is only from that part of the grant. The question, Chair, around the special schools, we've developed a plan, norms for special schools as well, because in the sector, even for special schools, there are no norms and standards for provision of non-teaching staff in schools. And then all provinces are coming up with their own norms and standards. And then now these norms and standards, they are dependent on the availability of budget. That proposal as HR, we've developed it, we've presented it to the senior leadership of the department, we've bounced it with the DPSA, as you indicated, Chair, that we said we're going to bounce it to DPSA. And DPSA, they are of the view that as the department, we must identify budget from ours. If we can afford whatever we're proposing, we have to implement it. Now, both these proposals, the proposal for non-teaching staff and the proposal for public ordinary schools, they are in front of the senior leadership of the department, which is SLMC. Then they are going to take decisions on how do they approve that? If it is approved, how do we implement it? I'm going to stop there.
Okay. I should think, Chair, those were the HR-related ones, right? And then I'll ask Mr. Kina just for the transfers and allocation.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chair and members. Let me start with the question whether we are not condoning non-compliance by schools if we pay them. No, Chair, that is the reason why you are only paying now. It's because by the time when we were processing payments to the other schools, these schools were not complying. But then when they were actually followed up and reminded, then they complied, and hence we are actually complying. So there is no school that is actually receiving any payment without complying. And this is exactly why we delayed, because it took them time for them to actually comply. And in fact, we are writing to all those schools as part of consequence management, because as you correctly indicated, Chair, the submission of audited financial statements by schools should be done by 30th of June, so that we are able to pay the second tranche during October. But these are the schools that would not actually comply at the right time. And that leads me, Honorable Chair, to the second question as to why we could not transfer monies for municipal service, other monies to the schools on time. It's precisely because of the delays. And by the time we were trying to prepare payments during the first quarter of this financial year, the department, Honorable Chair, if you remember, had already ran into cash flow problems. So we had an issue with Treasury on what must be prioritized, on what must actually be paid. And hence all this payment has actually fallen in this current financial year. The LTSM question, Chair, it has history and context in it. That at first, the department was transferring all the LTSM budget to schools, but we encountered various serious problems. Firstly, that the majority of schools did not have capacity to select the correct and complying texts for the learners. So that was the first issue. But the second one, it was flouting of procurement procedures as they would actually be procuring, leading to us obtaining very negative audit opinions because they would not comply either with the curriculum, not comply even with the financial regulations. And this decision was actually taken nationally, Chair, to say that LTSM, to ensure that learners are getting the correct texts, they're getting the correct stationery, that the department must actually take full responsibilities. But then processes were followed, were real. All SGBs were written to where they were actually informed of these decisions. However, Chair, we are now again in a situation where we have drafted a proposal which will be consulted on how we want LTSM to be managed going forward. But it is still a draft document which we still need to consult on in terms of understanding exactly what it is that we do. In fact, in terms of assessing whether the system, whether the schools are ready now to take over the responsibility. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. That's probably just to say that this is the regime, Chair, that is governed by policy, especially management of government funds and transfers to schools. I just want to go back to the very point that you were raising on the monitoring frameworks, because it's not only applying to your EPWP, it also applies to how we monitor schools' utilization of the monies and the budgets that we've transferred to them. We have developed a framework, Chair, to look at how we are monitoring expenditure at school. So it's not just a matter of sometimes transferring and forget about it. We getting information in partnership with SAIC. We're trying to work out a model of managing the reports on utilization of budgets by schools. We are getting a component within SSMs that deals with expenditure and income on schools. Then we've developed a charter, a standard charter of accounting for all our schools, where principals are forced, or it's compulsory for them to report on those. So we might have to share with the committee at some stage the framework for monitoring of expenditure in schools. The second one, Chair, is that sometimes the tragedy of managing policies that you take policy decisions that may not have palatable outcomes, to some quarters. And in this instance, we've taken a number of policy decisions based on objective reality, big government trying to rationalize and mitigate, on behalf of the poor. You will realize that, Chair, we fund based on norms, particularly funding of teaching posts, funding of learners. And this is based on numbers. The extent that the school has numbers, to that extent, the school benefits from the model. To the extent that the school has no numbers, to that extent that this model deprives them. If they have less than 40 kids per class, they are unlikely to get a teacher. But also, if they don't have the numbers in terms of learners, they are unlikely to get economies of scale out of budgets that we transfer to them. So one of the beneficiations that we're looking at is if we bargain on behalf of smaller schools and therefore using the budget so that everybody has access to a textbook, then we have better economies of scale and everybody gets a quality textbook. Anyway, titles are prescribed by DBE nationally, but provincially we work at procurement mechanism. So I'm trying to align with what Mr. Njida is saying, that when we then go out and procure, we procure based on the fact that every child must have a textbook and every child must have access to a textbook. If Chair will take that money, give it to a school, they can hardly get a quarter in the bucket of what they want to have or of their order in terms of the price list in the open market for their schools. We have schools, Chair, that would not even qualify for 5 books in terms of the amount of money that they get. You have schools that would not be able to have a lot of other resources that they need if you can't go the route of centralization. So if you look at the standard items in our catalogs, it's quite a rich catalog, including extra resources and extra support material that is over and above textbooks that they get. So, Chair, the policy decision to centralize was really to bargain, on behalf of all of them, and therefore pull together a sort of a bargaining that will allow that every child has an access to a textbook. Chair, those will be the main heavy ones that we wanted to tackle, but the rest of them, I should think they've dealt with them in terms of answers. Thank you, Chair.
The only aspect on the issue of the EPWP workers is the issue of the screening. Whether you do screen them, because they work amongst our young children, But for now, let me say this is a food for thought. Going forward.
Okay.
Honorable Mukaka. Honorable Mukaka.
Oh, Chair, the last one.
Yes.
I think the department is spending a lot now. Seem to be spending a lot. And I know that we have not yet passed the budget vote. Where are they in terms of their expenditure now? I'm just asking now a matter of regulation. We have not passed the budget vote as a committee and the House, but they seem to be spending a lot of money. Understandably, it's a new financial year, but where are they in terms of percentage? Have they not exceeded the required percentage in terms of their expenditure, or what? Just that interest, Chair.
Yeah. Mr. Jogati, just an indication whether I'm still in line with Section 38 of PFMA.
Chair, just to say that
yes.
we are now in May, so our first month of expenditure was April and May. We can give figures in terms of actual percentage relative to the total budget allocated to education. We have that information is available, but I should think we have not prepared now to give it on the spot like is being requested. But just to say that we can account in full for the month of April. We're now almost in the middle of May. We will not have a full report for May, but we'll have a full report for the month of April. Thank you, Chair. It's only 1 month of the financial year that we've spent.
When we interrogate your budget and policy speech, that will be tabled on the 26th of this month. Then we shall have been ready with that information then.
Thank you, Chair.
Members, is anything before we close the meeting? Now, MEC.
Honorable Chair.
Let me give you a passing shot before I indicate the way forward. But before that, I can see that Honorable Pillay wants to speak. Honorable Pillay?
Honorable Chair, I just want to check. I'm not sure that whether this meeting should take care of that particular matter. Schools, independent schools, specifically when learners are coming back, remember that the school fees has not been paid. And there is a feeling among the parents that the school days have been lost. I don't know this matter is going to be, what will be the position of the department in this particular thing, where the parents are saying that they may not be able to pay that because, so I'm not sure that this particular meeting can take care of that, but I'm saying that it's a concern being raised all around. Thank you.
Let's just say it's a matter that the department has to consider, because not only the issue of school fees, it's also the issue of hostel fees. You know, that the current learners last in hostels sometimes in March, you know, before the end of March. So it's a matter that the department must look at that, because at one stage we did raise that matter. That's a concern. As members of parliament, these matters come to us, so we need the department to have his views around that. I know the minister has indicated that parents must continue to pay school fees, because in some schools that those fees are paying the, you know, the extra staff that is paid, that is employed by the SGP. All right, so that's the permutation that were there. MEC, your parting shot.
No, thanks, Chair. Mhlambi mandiqale kulenu lendisha kuyo, Chair, into yokuba we'll have to find a way on how do we relate with that, in particular on the private and independent schools. Kuba ingxaki mhlambi ngakwi-policy and authority over such matters, because remember,
yeah,
i-parent mosingena kwi-contract nesikolo phaa kulaa nto singekho thina singurhulumente. So that's why I'm then saying ke kufuneka ke ngoku siyoyijonga from a legislative point of view, what does it mean? But lastly, Chair, ndizawuthi nje xa ndigqitha, we note the recommendations of the committee and also the inputs that have been put in place before us. But safe to say, Chair, I would want us to appeal to members that at least ezinye izinto funeka sizijonge at a very close range. In as much as we are coming from various political formations with different ideological posture and orientations. But it can't be right, Chair, that any transaction or a business done with the black people must be perceived to be automatically corrupt. It can't be correct, because it suggests that whites are not corrupt, and therefore anything that is done through or anything relating to an African or a black person must be perceived and with suspicion that it is corrupt. So I would want us to resist that temptation, Chair, moving forward. Otherwise, it can create an animosity and an environment that might be toxicated moving forward for the committee. I just want to leave it there, Chair.
Okay. Members and the officials and our social partners, this constitutes our way forward. Firstly, on the challenge that we experienced of the two presentations that could not be sent to members on time, was the department indicating that they have evidence that they did submit those documents. We will then do our due diligence on our side and come back to the department. And as such, for the two outstanding reports on infrastructure and scholar transport, we will try to squeeze in a meeting sometime next week if it's possible. Fortunately for tomorrow, there's a programming committee. We'll find a way of checking whether they can allow us to get to this report. That is going to be inclusive of the issue around us getting all the details around the issue of the contract. The MS is correct that to us as a committee, our oversight goes beyond racial connotations, but also must guard against indeed of having a perceived conclusion about a matter that we think because of a particular racial group, therefore is corrupt. But it's important that the department must take us into confidence so that before these questions are asked, we are given information so that as we speak from a position of power, knowing all the information. For next week, we'll find a time to deal with those 3 reports. The second issue that as was raised, once the department is ready, then in terms of what it plans for us to go to back school as a committee, we are going to support the province to ensure that we do, visit those schools in checking the state of readiness as identified. Therefore, once we get that information, we'll have to do that. We may do it as a committee, because we are the leading committee in this regard. But if the legislature finds it, as because education is not just for few individuals, the society might find as within the context of us having to go back to schools as a follow-up to the general visits, find a way of ensuring that we do monitor those. The last issue that I want to indicate that Mr. Kyogati will be happy that we will be given time frames on your finalization of the norms and standards for non-teaching staff in our schools, especially special schools, hostels, and those, the boarding schools, as I've said, hostels. So the sooner you finalize that, the better, because we're under the impression that by now we'll be ready with that kind of work as the department. That takes me to the end of the meeting. I want to appreciate the attendance by our social partners. Mr. Lois Ombinda from NAPTOSA, thank you so much for attending the meeting. Mr. Kaele Tumdingi from SATU, appreciate that. Mr. Peter from NASGP, appreciate your attendance, because it is to be part of the people that are going to, convey the message of the department and of the committee. Thank you to you, MEC, for having respected the committee by staying behind until now. And I hope you did indicate your apology with the premier in terms of that preparation. But I think the SG is there representing you. Thank you to members of the management, especially the presenters that have given us good presentations. We are happy. Thank you to Chantel, who was helping us with the flighting of these presentations. Thank you to our support staff, Mandy, and to you, Dr. Mkosi. And thank you to all the honorable members that were part and parcel of our meeting. And thank you to our ICT guys, IT guys who have helped us to be able to be connected. Thank you. The meeting, the members is adjourned until further notice. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.